Hey everyone, how you doing? Hey Erwin, how you doing? Made me laugh with that line about patiently waiting for the signature JD disclaimer. I am actually going to starting a little bit earlier today. I'm going to breeze through the disclaimer as I usually do, just because at 3, so in 2 minutes time, we do have the UK CPI number to be released. So I want to quickly look at that, right? So get through the disclaimer before we look at that very quickly. Right, so just starting a little bit earlier today. So anyone who's turning up a little bit later, you might miss out the disclaimer and the news, but let's get going. So quick disclaimer is any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, as your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. There, done. Get rid of that. We see the pound now pushing a little bit to the downside. That's because in less than a minute's time, we do have the UK CPI year-on-year to be released. It was 4%. It is expected to be at 3.5. We are less than 30 seconds away to release the number. They're going to release a number. We're looking for it to be 3.5 or maybe lesser, and to lead the pound dollar to push to the downside, right? And for pound dollar to push to the downside, very similar to that. So that was yesterday's analysis. It went up. What I would be looking for now, it's pushed out. I'll be looking for it to break about 1.2695. Below 1.2695, you could be looking at a 30 pip stop loss, 80 pip take profit. I think even if you went 30 to 30 as a news trade would be reasonable. It's bounced right back up. What's the number? It's not out yet. 3.4. 3.4. Let's look at what core CPI year on year is going to be. It is 5.1, 4.6 expected, came out 4.5. So it is lower. The CPI and the CPI and the core CPI for the UK is lower than expected. It's lower than previous. It's showing some good move to some slowdown in inflation growth. What we're looking at here on the pound dollar is, if you look at it on the 5-minute time frame, it was a first push to the downside, right? So it was at 1.2714, had a push to the downside, rebounded back. That support level probably came down, hit a couple of stops and pushed back. I wouldn't do anything yet at this point. Right, I wouldn't do anything yet at this point because it hasn't done, technically, I wouldn't do anything because the price hasn't done anything yet either. Right, it's pushed down a little bit, it's came right back up, it's sitting there. What we should be, right, with a 3.4 and a 3.5 showing that slowdown in inflation growth, we should actually be seeing the pound dollar drop, because this slowdown in inflation growth should be indicating to the Bank of England that, hey, maybe inflation growth is slowing down, maybe it is time to consider possible rate cut scenarios. Not rate cut now, because it's still not at that 2 to 3% target level, but it's time to possibly consider some rate cut scenarios. So that should be quite significant. I'm just checking back and I'm a little bit surprised that it hasn't had a more significant move to the downside. Right, I'm just a little bit surprised it hasn't had a more significant move to the downside. If you look at it on 1 minute time frame, it shot down, came right back up, now it's pushing down again. Needs to break past this level. Needs to break past this level as the first indication that we might see a continual downside, and then again past that support level. So nothing, as much as I might be excited about this news, nothing right now. One thing to also remember is after this news tonight, or well, early tomorrow morning, later tonight for you guys, later tonight for a lot of you guys, we do have the US FOMC to decide on their interest rate decision, most likely holding at 5.5%. But the UK CPI number and core CPI is going to play into the Bank of England's interest rate decision, right? Not so much play into the decision because they're most likely going to hold at 5.25%, but going to play into maybe the commentaries or the sentiment arising from this news event. Okay, so we're still looking at this. It still hasn't done anything at all. It still has not done anything at all. And this is why I like to say that as much as I love trading news, it's not always for everyone, because a lot of times it's about the discipline waiting for, only doing something when the price does something. You don't try and force a trade out or try and catch an early move, because at this point here, I'll take this away, because at this point here, it can, or the pound dollar can really be doing anything despite what the data is, right? We saw that on the Bank of Japan yesterday with the interest rate hike, yet we saw the yen pushing strongly to the upside. So that could still, it could be illogical for a little bit longer. There could be other reasons, for example, that as much as it's 3.4 right now, it's still not enough to bring about a rate cut scenario talk, because it's not at that target level. Right, so that's possibly one reason why we've seen a drop, but it's just sitting right there at this point. So what I'm looking at here is, I can take this away, back to the H1 time frame. It looks like it's sitting there unless it pushes back up above that point. Right, what am I doing? Okay, if it pushes up above that point at 1.2730, all right, if it pushes back up, then I would not be looking for, so if it goes past this level, I won't be looking for a trade to the downside already. I'll just be, okay, that's it. I'm expecting it to go down, but it's pushing to the upside. It's not worth trying to force or trying to think that I can force it back down. Okay, just checking a few levels here. Yep, it's broken that level. Now this point is at that 38.2. So you need to see what happens at 38.2. 50 is quite good there as well. 60 is there. So these levels are still quite relevant. These levels are still quite relevant. You see the dollar index, the pound dollar now pushing up a little bit more. All right, so we're still waiting. First point, second point up there. Okay. So yeah, we started a little bit earlier just to talk about the news release, and while I've done that, hi, hey Christina, how you doing? Hey Jumarinas, hope you're well. Hi Pips Apprentice, hey Jimmy, hey Angel Case, hey Diana, hope you're all well. Hey Goju, hey Mr. Matt SA, how you doing? And for anyone else who is joining us and has not left a comment, if you're new to the session, do leave a comment, say hi, let us know that you're here, let us know where you're joining us from. For all the regulars, a big welcome back. I hope you've been trading well. Pound dollar, let's leave the pound dollar for a couple of minutes. Let's see where it pushes to, possibly to the up. Looks like it's trying to push to the upside. Hey D-Train, how are you doing? Hey Mig, how are you doing? Good morning. What was I going to say? Oh, so early this morning, I did something I don't usually do. I was just trying to test the market a little bit. I did have my entry, put an order there, and went to bed. So I had it at, I didn't have it there. I had it at 151. Right, I had it at 151. So I had it broke 151, getting a buy stop to the upside. This happened early this morning at 7 a.m. So it broke and pushed up. I did get off I think I sent it to you guys on the Discord channel. So I got out at about that point at, I think, just under 60. So 50 something pips to the upside. So overall, on the US yen for me, yesterday was about 102 pips. Today was about 50 something, I can't remember now, 50 something pips to the upside. Past two days has been quite good for me on the US yen. Take those away. So those have been working out quite nicely. I am at this point now, it is time to be very cautious of the yen because it is at that major resistance level, right, that we saw in November, that's hit and reversed back down. And it looks like it's hesitating a little bit at that point. Okay. Also want to draw your attention to a couple of things I wrote up. So yesterday I was talking about, yes, the yen hiked rates for the first time in 17 years. Can't figure out exactly why it's pushing to the upside, why the yen weakness. I did a bit more of a write-up here, so if you haven't already, do make sure you jump onto that, check that out. You can read that. And then if you can help me out as well, do click that little rocket ship button on the live stream. Click that little rocket ship button. And also once you've checked out any of the write-ups, do help me out and click that little rocket ship button. Trying my hand at writing a bit about the cryptos as well. So looking at how it could have moved from there as well. Okay. Weird idea. Okay. Now, let's get back to normal service. Pound dollar pushing up and holding at that point. Okay, just want to check that and make sure that's working out well. Okay, so now back to normal service. Let me just do something here. Okay. All right. So since the last time we spoke, a couple of you were telling me about the bank holiday in Japan. They said it was yesterday. I guess it's today because it's here now on the Forex Factory calendar, where it says that it is the Japanese banks will be closed in observance of vernal equinox day. No idea what it is. Most brokers, bit less liquidity, that's why we're seeing it pushing up. No, I don't think so. I'm not too bothered about that. Overnight, we had the CAD CPI number released, the CAD inflation growth number. Median CPI was 3.3, expected 3.3, came out at a 3.1, while trimmed CPI went on to 3.2, expected 3.4. common CPI 3.1, expected 3.4. So inflation growth in Canada as well is slowing down. With that, we saw on the CAD on release of the news, that was at 8:30 p.m. right there, we saw that push up, right? So it did not, unfortunately, did not come down to the test and bounce of the support before pushing up, but it did have that that move that we expected, right? The inflation growth slowing down in Canada, leading to a weakness in the Canadian dollar, pushing it to the upside. I'm not sure why we're still seeing the pound pushing up. We should be seeing that push down, very similar to what we saw on the US CAD. So that trade did not trigger. We'll take that away for now. Now, so that was what happened last night since we spoke. Today, we just had the pound with the CPI, 4% done. Still seeing the pound push slightly to the upside. We have Lagarde speaking at 4:45 p.m. That's fine. I don't think it's going to do too much. And then not much else until the Fed Reserve later tonight, 2 a.m. GMT plus 8, 5.5. We all know that it's going to stay at 5.5. We don't expect a surprise. Is there a chance of a surprise? I don't think so. I hate to rule things out, but it's very, very, very unlikely that we're going to see a surprise from the FOMC. So 5.5%. If that does happen, then on the dollar index, what we could expect to see, right? So yesterday we said it was going to fluctuate around that point and push up. Now it's sitting right there at along the support level of 1.103.80. Right, it pushed up. We don't actually need any of this because it's broken, so we can take that away. And now looking at this, that's my 23.6 right there. That upper trend line or bullish trend line is going to hold it. What I'm actually thinking that we might actually see we could see some weakness on the dollar come back into play. We could actually see some weakness on the dollar come back into play because I'm just thinking that, the FOMC, although they're not going to change, they're not going to cut rates, right? Although they're not going to cut rates, there might be some comments about the timeline to cut rates. The last time he spoke about this was on the 1st of Feb, which was, which was right there. No, right there. That move down. 1st of Feb at 2 a.m. about there. Yeah. So this was the last. This here was the last FOMC meeting in Feb, where they kept rates on hold at 5.5%. Right, that was a pretty much, they didn't expect anyone to cut at that point, so we saw that push up. It came back down, tested a bit of a support and pushed right back up. So that was what happened the last time around. Now coming back to the present, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking again that if it stays above this point, and it's not a very big area, it's not a very big area, so if it stays above this point, we could see this bounce back up that way. We have both that upside and downside potential. What am I doing? Okay, here we go. I'm half thinking that could it break the trend line and hit lower, right? Back down into this range. But we could see it sit down. Okay, I think I know what's going. I don't think I know what's going to happen. I think I can guess what could happen is that it's going to, or it could break down and then push up this way. Right? And then that would make it become something like that, and that would work out quite nicely. Okay, so I think that today being the 20th of March, right? Ultimately, the FOMC not likely to do anything too, not going to have any action on the interest rate decision. And I don't think they will be jawboning it down. He will talk about the timeline of, he's most likely going to talk about the timeline, or he'll be asked questions about the timeline for future rate cuts. He will say it will be data dependent. There is still some way to go with inflation and also with employment numbers. The economy, oh man, hang on. The economy is doing well, so it might not, they talk about economy doing well, they might not have that big urgency to cut rates as well. So I think that we're possibly, and this is with the FOMC in mind. Okay. So it's likely to consolidate at 103.80. Could break lower briefly. And then by overall trade higher to maybe even 104.50. So that's what I'm looking at. Right, so trade up, I know that's this level here, but we're looking at past this level all the way back towards this resistance area. It's about there, which is 104.55. So just to show you again more clearly, instead of a scribble, is that we could consolidate along this point. Consolidate in this area. And then I'm looking for a breakout to the resistance level. Erwin just said the oil trade went extremely well yesterday. It was a bit choppy. Okay, we'll have a look at it shortly. Okay, I'm happy with that on the dollar index. After the house of claims yesterday, we saw a bullish move on almost every index. Is it the right move for indices? It does look like a reasonable move. I mean, indices has been climbing to the upside, has maintained that steady climb to the upside. So I do think that I wouldn't be shorting it. If that's the question, Mr. Matt, I wouldn't be shorting it, but yes, I'll still be looking at that potential further upside or continuation of the upside. Good morning, Ether. How are you doing? So now Kiwi dollar still consolidating at this point. I don't think we're going to see it do that. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we could put this as a support, this as an interim. Like that. Come down to the current. And we can be looking at that. Right, so Kiwi is still consolidating at that support. No big surprise there because there hasn't been any big reasons for it to move in a direction. No big news there. But if the dollar does continue to strengthen or does strengthen back up, we're looking at 0.6030, stop loss 20 pips. Take profit could go down 80 to the downside. That's on the dollar strength scenario that we're looking at. I'm considering maybe a bounce as well, but I think that looking at the Aussie, I was still thinking of that push back down. I think that to cover the scenarios, we should still consider a possible bounce on the Kiwi. 6060, stop loss 25, take profit 65 to the upside. You could even have, you could even get up to, I don't think you get 110, but I think 65 to the upside would be reasonable. I think that's on a dollar weakness scenario. So let's see. Let's cover that scenario. 6060, stop loss 25, take profit 65. Stop loss 25, take profit 65. We'll have that there just if in the scenario the dollar does correct right back down, you do have that opportunity to the upside because on the, and I'll do that as well because I want to trade it up to that 61.8 level. And because on the Aussie dollar, what I would be looking for, right? Don't need that. So it didn't really push, right? It came right back up. Didn't really push right back down. Take that away. It's sitting in that consolidation there right now, just above 23.6. What I'm looking at is this level, right? A rejection of this level could see further downside. I would be looking to sell. So to be a safer one would be later 6500, below 65. You would have a first level there. A take profit of like 55 at a maximum. Right? This point here up to this point here. So showing you that point there. So if it breaks below yesterday's low point, so now it's in that wide consolidation. If it breaks below yesterday's low point on dollar strength scenario, you can have a tight stop loss, no more than 20 pips. Take profit at 55 to the downside for the Aussie dollar. Okay? So 6500, 20 pip to 55. 6500, stop loss 20, take profit 55. We did that quite well on the US yen. So to complete its retracement, break above resistance by 150.95, 30 to 90. The yen did that, so it broke above, well, it consolidated a little bit, it broke above the resistance 150.95, pushed up again. At this point, I'll be super cautious, right? I highlighted that area. At this point, I'll be super cautious because it is a, take that away for now. Okay, it is a very high level, 152, right? That 152 level is very high. We saw that in November last year and again in October in 2022, right? It came to that point in October 22 as well. So, and you can see that the last time it got there, we saw a major hit and reverse. And then again in October, it came close, had a big reverse. In November, it hit and it came right back down. So I do think that there might be a little bit more upside. So it might sit there, might push up this way, but I don't think it's worth doing that because it's going to be quite choppy, right? It's going to be quite choppy. Even looking at it on the H1 time frame, you can see that it has that spikes, it has that move around. It looks like it's trying to reverse a little bit right now. So yes, you can buy it up if you want. You would have to monitor it very closely. I think there will be a lot of spikes and dips. Alternatively, is that you could consider maybe a push, a counter trend. I'm not thinking that is a intervention, not thinking that's an intervention from the Bank of Japan, but maybe just overall market seeing it's overbought in the overbought region could sell it back down, right? So about below 150 dot here. 150.55, stop loss, 40 pips, take profit, a good 180 to the downside. A counter trend trade, just because it's gone too high, might have a lot of selling pressures to push it right back down again. So that's what I would be looking, and this is I don't know what's the word, but this is something way out, right? Not something, maybe not something for tonight. I don't think maybe not something for tonight, but could be. But this would be something that you would want to size down a lot on because it's very speculative. You put an order there and let it hit and run if it does drop to trigger that level. Okay, so not something I'll put very high on my priority, not something I would put a big trade on. So we're looking to sell at 150.60. or 55. Stop loss 40, take profit 180. Okay. Now that's sitting there, that's sitting there, that's fine. Pound, dollar, look at that. All that, we started the session early just because of the pound dollar and the news. It shot up, it came right back down, it's sitting right there. It has not changed since the news was released about 30 minutes ago. It's still sitting at that same point. I would say that in this scenario, take that away and those away. Oh no. What am I doing? Okay. Yep. In this scenario, because we have this point here that we are looking as the potential resistance, 38.2, the previous high, providing that resistance, what I would be looking for on the pound dollar, because especially because of the CPI number that was 3.4 from previous of 4, looking for a possible drop on the dollar strength. So for it to push the pound dollar lower, 1.2690, stop loss 30, take profit 90, almost 90 to the downside towards that point. Okay, that's reasonable. Could it bounce? Yes, but I think that since we're looking for possible dollar strength scenario, it does have that. If you look at this, if you look to buy above 1.2735, you do have about 80 pip take profit. You can have a 30 pip stop loss. There is a bit of a straddle scenario here as well, something you might want to consider. We can look at it as 1.2740. Stop loss can be about 25 pips and 77 up there, or 75 up there. There we go. Okay, straddle possible straddle on the pound. Oops, what am I doing? Possible straddle on the pound. We could be looking to buy at 1.2740, stop loss 30, take profit 75, or we could be looking to sell, no, 25, sorry. Or we could be looking to sell at 1.2690, 30 to 90. 1.2690, stop loss 30, take profit 90 to the downside. So remember, that's the straddle. You don't want to keep both open. You want to have the order, and if either triggers, you would cancel off the other one. Okay. Dollar still looking like it's pushing back down, but it's going to consolidate, likely consolidate in this area. That's fine. Hey Lindy, how you doing? D-Train asks, do I link my trading view trade alerts to your mobile or just PC, laptop? I do it only to my PC. In fact, I don't even do the alerts because I'm watching it all the time here. So I don't do the alerts. Yeah. I just watch it and I kind of switch around, check out the charts all the time. Okay. Euro dollar push down, had a quick scalp on the euro dollar to the downside. I don't think I took that much, maybe about 15 or scalping it down yesterday. Now it's bounced right back up. This is done because 60 is broken. We can take that away. I'm happy with that. What I'm possibly looking for here, or what I want to see here on the euro, is that, right? We see this move down. We're seeing a little bit of consolidation, maybe some brief weakness on the dollar to the downside. Looking for the euro to push up, test 38.2, fail, and break right back down. Okay, so with that, then I would be looking to short a test and reject. So 1.0875, no, 1.0870, stop loss 20, Your first take profit is about maybe 40 pips, but you can go all the way down to about 65 to the downside. Okay. Yep. Euro sell. Okay, wait. No, euro is a test and reject. The 38.2 level. %, then we'll look to sell at 1.0870, 20 to 65. Where am I? Okay, sell 1.0870, stop loss 20, take profit 65 to the downside. There we go. All good so far. Please remember, if you can help me out massively, do remember to click that like, that thumbs up button. Would really appreciate that if you can help me out with that. And the little rocket ship button on TradingView if you haven't already. Okay. Now on to US Swiss franc. It has not done anything. We say it was going to we say it was going to consolidate at that point. Possible rejection, did not show that rejection. Consolidation is still happening. Expecting that dollar strength scenario, I think that we're still looking for the same thing. 0.8905, stop loss 20, take profit 55 to the upside. Okay, maintain that view. USCAD, we saw what happened yesterday. This was the CPI number. Before I retrace right back down, there is still that bullish push. Getting my tongue tied. Bullish push to the upside, right? Dollar strength together with some, well, with that new refound, possibly refound CAD weakness pushing it up right in the middle of that support and resistance level. So I wouldn't be too keen to do anything at this point. However, if it does break above that resistance, which we see here, then we do have the next big resistance at 1.3711. However, what you could be looking for as well is an interim level at about this point here at 1.3660. Okay, so again, back to the current dollar strength scenario, pushing higher. What you're looking at is a buy, 1.3625. Stop loss can be very tight. I would even do 15, just following the trend up. But you can do no more than 20. Take profit could go all the way up to 85. Might have a hesitation level here at 1.3660, but I think that the momentum on dollar strength could push this significantly to the upside. All right, I seem to be breezing through today's session. Got a bit too hyped up with the pound news release. So we're looking to buy this at 1.3625. Stop loss 20, take profit 85. Okay. Again, just want to, can't stress this enough, can't remind you all about this enough. As much as all the plans we have here is, dependent, it's all highly dependent on what's going to happen during the FOMC, and it's a really, your best guess is as good as my best guess. We can only do what we have with the information that we have. So it could, we're expecting it for it to push up. It could very well go halfway up and come right back down like that, right, and do nothing, or sit there and then bounce around and do nothing. Based on historical, I know historical is not the best way to project into the future, but based on what we saw on the 1st of Feb, that's why I'm expecting that push to the upside. Okay, so just keep that in mind. These directional buyers are not set in stone. Then on to gold, expecting that dollar strength scenario. So it came right back, it came right down. Yesterday, came right down to that support. I thought, great, it's going to break, didn't break. Came right back down again, great, going to break, didn't break. Now consolidating still at that point. Still looking for that dollar strength to push this down from the support of 2147 down to 2125. So I'll maintain that below 2145 could trade down to 2125. Okay, so that's the list. That's the current plan for what could happen on the FOMC later tonight at 2 a.m. GMT plus 8. Things can change. Powell could, they could surprise us and cut rates straight away. Powell could come out and say, no, we're not doing it this time, but next time for sure. Everything's on the table, everything is possible. But I think the more likely scenario is that you're going to hold rates. He's going to talk about how good the economy is doing, and that they would only take action when the data supports it. And the data being the core PCE price index, the CPI number, and also the employment numbers for the US. Now, then, lucky last, thanks, Linley. Lucky last, Erwin was asking about US oil. We talked about this consolidating at that point, pushing up, ideally towards that 83.64 level. Did not get all the way there, came slightly, pushed right back down. Now sitting at almost the same point. I feel that at this point we might not see that upside. So we need to see what is just shifting this right across. We need to see what happens at that point. I feel that we might even see a break of that trend line, right? A break of that trend line and have a deeper retracement. Right? You might see a bit of a deeper retracement, but it doesn't mean sell. It means a deeper retracement for a possible bounce back up. It could be retracement day, retracement period, which means it's sit there and do nothing, let it retrace. Or to me, it seems like a sit there, do nothing, let it retrace before before you buy into a better value. Okay, even look at that. That's 23.6 right there. That would make sense. 38.2 right there would make sense as well. So yeah, I do see a bit of a retracement there on US oil. Erwin, what do you think? Hope that aligns with your view. Omi Dahomi, we have done US yen. Done US yen, that was one of the first few we got through. So we do dollar index, Kiwi, Aussie, and yen. Just a quick recap for you then. Yen, very cautious at this resistance level because it is a historic high level. Planning for a possible intervention from the Bank of Japan. I think it's a bit unlikely, or possible overload of sellers at that resistance. A lot of people might be thinking that it's a historic high, so they're looking to sell. They have sell orders up there, so they have the pending orders trigger. It might send it crashing right back down. To be extra safe, we would have it at an order at 150.55, stop loss 40, take profit 180. You're most welcome there, Omi da homie. Do remember to drop a like and a follow. Thank you for asking a question. Yes, so thank you everyone. Please remember, trade well, trade safe. If there is no trade, please don't try and force a trade out. It might actually be a little bit quiet moving forward over the next couple of hours because of the FOMC pending. So don't feel like you have to rush into anything. Look at what the pound is doing, nothing at all. So do remember, drop that like and subscribe. Take care now, and I'll see you all on Discord. If you haven't joined already, the link is there for you guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.